Ladies and gentlemen, fourth and trollers, welcome back to the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. It's Fourth and Troll Fantasy. My name is Noah Selby.
I'm Wes Selby.
And we have got a wild show for y'all today. We watched some good football on Thursday night, some entertaining football. Man, I haven't felt the midweek pick-me-up from like football yet, but this is awesome. Like I am on fire right now. I just feel great. I may be on fire because there's some big news we got to talk about as well, Wes. But first things first, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. And you know, I think that first half of last night's game, Saints at Cardinals, was one of the most entertaining first halves of football, I think, this season. You know, I think we can say there's some better games that have happened, but just especially two pick sixes by the Cardinals in the first half. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, back-to-back possessions.
Yeah.
Awesome. Noah, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. All of the West, you and I play each other in fantasy this week. We didn't really preface that on our Tuesday show. I don't think we really realized we were coming off of, a big weekend at the Rams game. And we didn't really, I don't think I even knew. I don't think I remembered. And so I was, waiting out for Monday Night Football and focusing on my matchup then. We didn't mention it on Tuesday, but you and I play each other in fantasy this week, and we both had guys playing tonight. Yeah, man. And
you're on top right now because
I think we both did well for the respected positions.
That's fair.
I appreciate that. In our positions that we were in. But awesome watching DeAndre Hopkins play football again. Really fun times. I'm feeling good. We have got a really, really good show for you today. And it's going to be a good one. Like I said, we watched some great football on Thursday night. Watch some entertaining football. There were plays that I went, and plays that I went, oh, man. And I haven't done that at all on Thursday night this year. So that was fun. Obviously, like I said, D-Hop's return, a lot of fun. We're going to do some start bench cut for some of these top positions and close out with studs and duds, and obviously go over some big news we got to talk about. First things first, though, Wes, I got to go run a half marathon. Do you think you have enough news to go ahead and get the people by for the next 6 or 7 hours before we?
You're only doing a half?
On?
Yeah. I got you covered.
I can run in the later window to do the full if you want.
Yeah, I'll text you when I'm done with the news here because,
great.
Ladies and trollers, you've got a heck of a lot for the NFL news, and we're gonna get to the end. So hang tight, because when we finish this up, we'll talk about what happened last night. Maybe you woke up to the news this morning, but let's start with the bye weeks. We know Thursday nights happen, but you've got some players you may have to fill out your positions for. Bye weeks this week are the Bills, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Eagles. Some big, heavy hitters, including Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. So, anyway, our best idea is if you just go ahead and drop them, and we'll pick them up. Noah and I will pick them up in your team.
That'd be cool.
Thank you so much. Love you lots. Anyway, all right. So that's the bye weeks. One of the other signings that happened over the course of this week was that it is official. Deshaun Jackson is a Baltimore Raven. He signed with them on Tuesday, and we'll wait to see if he will start this Sunday against the Browns. Although Rashad Bateman in the Ravens team, Rashad Bateman returned to practice. However, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews missed consecutive practices this week. Their statuses are up in the air, but they could be game time decisions. Speaking of trades, not that one yet, another one here. Elijah Moore has asked for a trade from the Jets for not having enough usage in their offense, which is exactly what Noah pointed out. Yeah. Dropping him and said that we should drop him. So maybe if you want to take a shot on it, it's fine. But the Jets have decided they have no plans to trade Elijah Moore just yet. So in Denver, what we learned from last Monday Night Football against the Chargers, we've learned that Melvin Gordon was actually benched for Latavius Murray, and he wasn't even told why. And as we mentioned last time, Melvin Gordon is droppable, although if you have depth space in your lineup, he may be seeking a trade soon. Just some reported rumors of what's going on. Nothing official. However, just to spite everyone, Nathaniel Hackett says Melvin Gordon will start against the Jets, even though Latavius Murray had 15 carries and 66 yards and was clearly the better back on Monday. So just to spite you, because Nathaniel Hackett is a very questionable head coach. Anyway.
Just fire him.
I might as well. I mean, it'd be... You thought Urban Meyer was quite a headpiece, a drama tale from last season. This is something else. Anyway, in Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett is under concussion protocol, but Mike Tomlin said his work won't be limited in any way. He could still possibly start on Sunday night against Miami. He was a full participant on practice for Wednesday and Thursday. Speaking of Sunday night football, Tua Tagovailoa will return as the starter for the Miami Dolphins for the first time since Thursday night, week 4 against the Bengals. There are no setbacks. He will be lining up under center. Also for quarterbacks, Taylor Heinicke is confirmed as the starter for the Commanders, with Carson Wentz out with a fractured finger for several weeks. Also with the quarterbacks, apparently Russell Wilson's hamstring injury is real, and it's severe enough that he'll be day to day. And if this were to be serious enough to miss time, we looked into it. Brett Rypien would start, and he's currently the only other rostered QB in the Broncos depth chart. That's awesome. That'll go over real well. Anyway, also Dustin Hopkins from Monday night will miss time after pushing through a hamstring injury to kick the game-winning field goal in overtime. He will be out 2 to 4 weeks. In the same Los Angeles backfield, Joshua Kelly has an MCL sprain, will be out weeks, making Sony Michel the current handcuff to Austin Eckler. If any of you are concerned on his status, he has no injuries right now, but just playing the long game. If anyone has like 12 team leagues, whatever it is. Joshua Palmer is also in concussion protocol, but hey, Keenan Allen was a limited participant in practice this week. That's something we haven't heard, I think, since week 2, basically. Tyler Lockett missed some practice time this week with an apparent hamstring injury and is now questionable for his game against the Chargers. Few more here. Hang tight, everybody. We're getting to the big news here. Roger Goodell said that Deshaun Watson has followed all the terms from his 11-game suspension and is on track to start his first game of this season, December 4th. And another legal matter at hand, because Devontae Adams was charged with misdemeanor assault, it violated the NFL personal conduct policy and will have to wait for the legal process to play out. In the meantime, though, Devontae Adams will still play regardless of the decision for this Sunday against the Houston Texans. We've heard some rumors and speculations about suspension. We'll just have to wait. We won't make any speculations or assumptions on what will happen to him. Jalen Waddle is currently questionable for Sunday night's showdown against the Steelers with a shoulder injury, but Mike McDaniel is already optimistic he'll play. Waddle has been on injury reports each week of the season, has played every game so far, so we're not concerned with any of that. DeAndre Swift returned to practice on Wednesday and seems to be moving forward with his first return since week 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown also returned to practice, and that will help out their offense a lot. Jonathan Taylor had a full practice this Thursday, hopefully indicating that he will start on Sunday because the Colts absolutely need him in the backfield. Still, the only 2 names in the Giants wide receiver room, Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay, neither practiced on Wednesday. Brian Daboll did not mention that Brian Daboll said they don't feel the need to even put Kadarius Toney in IR. So if you still have some hope in the human joystick, hang tight. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows? They seem to be doing fine without him. Anyway, Sam Darnold is eligible to return in Carolina from IR. Baker Mayfield's status still seems unlikely he will be healthy enough to play against the Buccaneers, but we'll assume Darnold will start in the meantime. Speaking of Panthers, not yet. Hold on. Laviska Shenault returned to practice this week, which means that he would be the wide receiver 2 now that Robbie Anderson was traded to Arizona, as we saw last night, with a single target to start out his campaign there for the Cardinals. T. Higgins practiced on Wednesday, which is apparently the first time he's done so since week 3. Apparently Wednesdays are not a usual practice for him. Officially, Dak Prescott will start week 7. And now we did it. A lot of news happened, and now we're here. Okay, let's talk about it. You know about it. We're all freaking out about it still this morning. Oh, my goodness. Christian McCaffrey has been traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a 2023 second round, third round, and fourth round pick, plus a 2024 fifth round pick. According to Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey will likely play against the Kansas City Chiefs. The plan now is that he will be used as a red zone package and then ramp up as the game goes on if they feel the need to. No, let's talk about it.
A shiver went down my spine when I saw this because, oh man, this is just massive. This is massive. First things first, Wes, on our Instagram story, if you guys are following us on Instagram at 4th and Troll Fantasy, or sorry, just at 4th and Troll. You saw us post on Sunday when we were at the Rams game, Rams-Panthers, saying, we're here at SoFi Stadium for what may end up being Christian McCaffrey's last game in a Carolina Panthers uniform. Well, baby, we were right. We were there for that last game, and what a bunch of usage you got there. But, man, this is massive. There are so many different components of this to break down. First things first, the immediate – I mean, I don't know how this goes up somehow, but Christian McCaffrey's value just went up. Like
somehow
he's going to a better, the best coaching system he's ever been in. And while the 49ers do tend to use multiple backs to an extent, I mean, I don't know how, even if he loses, even if McCaffrey, is only getting, I don't know, 18 to 20 touches a game. And when, whoever Jeff Wilson still gets 5 or 6 touches, or whenever Elijah Mitchell's back, he still gets 5 to 6 touches. Doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. This is going to be unbelievable. Kyle Shanahan is one of the brightest minds in coaching in the NFL. He's gotten teams to the Super Bowl and this is no dig on Garoppolo or the supporting cast or anything, but like he's gotten teams to the Super Bowl that the offense has been the afterthought compared to the defense. Yeah. And so this is just going to be absolutely baffling to see what this offense looks like with Christian McCaffrey. He gets an uptick here. In my eyes, what do you think, Wes?
My first reaction was, all right, drop Elijah Mitchell, Tevin Coleman, Jeff Wilson. No one else even matters. Yeah. But I will say, just a lot of us have been holding on to Elijah Mitchell in our IR slot. And here's my case: don't let go of him, because we have to still remember Christian McCaffrey has an injury history. He's injury prone, and so Elijah Mitchell is still good, and he will be back. Jeff Wilson has been playing great, so I wouldn't say just now drop everyone else. It's all Christian McCaffrey, because you just don't know for certain. Now, here's the thing. What about Deebo? What's going to happen with him? Huh? What about Deebo? Is he going to get some carries? Is he going to be a wide back still? What the H, dude?
Yeah. No, he will. He will. He'll still get carries. He'll still be a wide back. He'll not probably not as, and it hasn't been as prominent this season as it was last season. Already we've seen. He'll still get carries, I think. They'll still use him. I think Shanahan's smart, and he knows, I can't drop just like
Wildcat
20. Yeah, that'd be ridiculous. But Shanahan knows he can't drop 28 carries on McCaffrey, probably. I mean, if he wants to make the most out of him, it wouldn't be wise to do so. Even though McCaffrey has looked great in the injury front, or so to speak, like this season. Deebo, I think, keeps his value. I think honestly, Deebo's value could go up a little bit. I mean, the 49ers have a good running game. There's never been a back in this backfield since Frank Gore that the defenses have had to worry about stacking a box on. Like they've had to worry about, like, okay, we need to be, I mean, defenses are aware of everything, but the attention that McCaffrey's going to draw out of the backfield, there are going to be a lot more eyes looking at McCaffrey than there probably will be Deebo Samuel, opening up a little bit of space for him. I think Deebo's receiving value goes up here. Even if he does take a little bit of a hit rushing, I think it's still massive.
I think that even opens up, I think the value of Brandon Ayuk might increase as Ayuk, the pure receiver Kittle, that he was.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think this opens up the entire 49ers passing game. Jimmy Garoppolo isn't Josh Allen, but the box will be stacked up a little more to try and stop McCaffrey in this running game a little more. Probably going to free up some space for this receiving game as far as it goes with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. I want to land back here, Wes, at Elijah Mitchell.
Okay.
Just because, myself personally, I'm an Elijah Mitchell owner, and I've been holding on to Elijah Mitchell. He's been in my IR spot for the whole season since he's gotten hurt in week 1. I wasn't going to be using him until after week 8 anyways, because I think they gave an 8-week, recovery time on this, maybe even after week 9, whatever it may be. Do I, if somebody's trying to make a trade, I don't know why they would for Elijah Mitchell. Like, if I get value, do I move on from Mitchell? I just don't know what to do here with this guy. You got to keep him around because if he gets hurt, we've seen Mitchell be a lead back, but man, this is like a tough one to kind of decipher here and kind of work through and figure out. I'm having a little trouble figuring out what the 49ers backfield, as far as the pieces behind McCaffrey now, will look like.
I think Elijah Mitchell has now become arguably the best backup running back in the NFL just through this acquisition with CMC. And I think for that reason, that's why people continue to roster Alexander Madison. And they also, Tony Pollard, AJ Dillon, these guys that we know that have really good skill with the ball and could very well be an RB1 given the right backfield and the right depth chart. They could be a starting running back. And I think that is who Elijah Mitchell became through this trade in my eyes and in my interpretation. That Elijah Mitchell still has value. It does depend on how they're going to use Jeff Wilson, though. And I think we're going to have to wait not just this week, but the week after, when McCaffrey's had a full week of practice with his new team and Shanahan understands how to use McCaffrey. The rest of the offense understands him. So I think we'll have to wait maybe in 2 weeks to understand who's really the second back, who's RB2 in this depth chart. Because if it is Elijah Mitchell, I don't see a reason to drop him just yet because, again, as I mentioned, he's injury prone. McCaffrey still has that tag on him that he can get hurt at any point and be out for weeks and weeks, but you just never know. It's all so fresh. We're still trying to figure it out. But for me, my idea is that we have to wait 2 weeks. Let's wait 2 weeks, see how we get a feel, because they're playing the Chiefs, who have a much better defense than they get credit for. And so with this Chiefs, they got to keep up with that offense as well. McCaffrey's going to be red zone package. After that game, we get a full game against, I don't know who their next opponent is after that. The Rams. Okay, so that'll be a great one, actually, because then you have Deebo's skills, and he turns into Thanos when he plays against the Rams. Well, now you've got McCaffrey, and how does Wilson incorporate? How does Mitchell incorporate? So I don't know if that is I don't know if that gives you an idea of what to do, but I think it's something to consider because he's still too good to just drop, Yeah. That's my idea. I think he's better than Khalil Herbert is as a running back.
Yeah.
Mitchell, not CMC. CMC is a little better than Khalil Herbert.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. They've got the Chiefs this week, and then they've got the Rams, and then they're on a bye, and then they come back against the Chargers. So maybe we don't see the full complement of what this backfield will be like with Mitchell, Wilson, and CMC. Maybe, I don't know if the 49ers medical staff will say, let's save, let's let Mitchell, let's not make him come back and then just be off another week, even though
they have no reason to rush him back now.
Yeah, exactly. So, wow.
Incredible.
These 49ers may have just become, second in line behind the Eagles for the NFC. This is
ridiculous.
This is crazy. They're already a really good team. So just add, just this electric player in CMC.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
One last thing
we'll touch on. Oh, go for it. I think we're on the same path here.
Yeah. The backfield in Carolina now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I prefer Deontay Foreman to Chuba Hubbard. I think we both did coming into the season. this news broke, and about 2 minutes later, I went and dropped Melvin Gordon, who I said we could drop last week or on Tuesday, and I picked up D'Onta Foreman. I'm not entirely sure what this backfield looks like, but someone is going to get touches, even if it's a split. So far this season, the snap share in Carolina between D'Onta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard has been D'Onta Foreman has a 9% snap share. This is obviously all behind Christian McCaffrey when he was still on that team. A 9% snap share for D'Onta Foreman, a 9% snap share for Chuba Hubbard. So not much separation there. But last week, first game since Matt Rule was fired, so last week versus the Rams, D'Onta Foreman saw a 23% snap share versus Chuba Hubbard's 9% last week. So it seems like if Steve Wilks, the interim head coach for the Panthers, if he's, still calling shots for the rest of the season, seems as though Foreman would get the edge there and probably get some more touches. We saw Foreman be pretty successful for the Tennessee Titans when Derrick Henry went down last year. I really like D'Onta Foreman. I remember watching him last year and going, wow, he could actually play some, like he could get some run somewhere. Like he looks good. And so I prefer Foreman. I went and picked him up because I had just someone who I was like, well, I think these guys both have pretty much the same amount of upside here. So why not? Let's take the shot and see what happens. But I prefer Foreman over Hubbard. That's just myself. Wes, what do you think?
I agree totally, just because of what Foreman did last season with the Titans and how Chuba Hubbard hasn't really produced, I would say, startable fantasy stats for his fill-in for McCaffrey over the last 2 seasons. If he's been for 2020 as well. So for me, it's I know I'm with you. I believe that Foreman is a better running back. And if I'm going to take a shot on this, I'm going to go with a guy that I know I've seen fill in for a starting running back. Yeah. He's filling in for McCaffrey for the rest of the season, essentially, in Carolina. So I also did the same thing in another league of mine. I picked up Foreman and called it a night. Yeah.
This is crazy. And I don't know what we're
I love football.
I love football so much, man. What an exciting Thursday night. Speaking of, though, let's jump into Thursday Night Football because it was a fun time. It was a really fun time. We'll go over some key players here that we talked about on Tuesday. Must starts. Alvin Kamara. I just now saw his final stat line here. 17.5 fantasy points. Solid night. I don't know how he got there. It didn't seem like he was having himself a decent night, but I guess he did within the receiving game. Yeah,
it's what he do be doing though. Alvin Kamara just is a PPR machine. Speaking of McCaffrey, he do be catching it though. It's 7 catches, 56 yards.
Yeah,
that there is double digits alone. Just as a wide receiver for the Saints. There's 11 carries, 49 yards. You walk away with 17.5 points. I think you feel fine. I mean, obviously, McCamara, if he gets a touchdown, you're looking at 25 points, and more with whatever that is. And he was close on a few carries. But, I mean, that's still – I think we can feel confident with Kamara going forward that if this is a bad night for him, when they're behind by, 3 scores and he's still going to be targeted – I know Michael Thomas was out, Jarvis Landry was out, but they were heavy with Chris Olave. But Kamara did great. But your must start was the real.
Oh man,
was the real weight.
So exciting, so exciting to see DeAndre Hopkins out there get 14 targets, similar to the workload Marquise Brown had been getting. 10 catches for 103 yards, 20.3 fantasy points without scoring a touchdown is just awesome to see. It's a great way to start the week. You're not feeling bad about that. I hope you guys, I hope everybody listened. I hope you plugged him in if you had him and you weren't too hesitant, worried about maybe he's going to take a week to get hot. No, he made some great plays. His hands are still incredible as ever. It's ridiculous. Yeah. There's one play where he ran it was essentially like a 15-yard out. And he was running the route, and Kyler essentially had let go of the ball and let the ball go in the air, made the throw. And that ball got about 75%. They talked about it on the broadcast, about 75% of the way to DeAndre Hopkins before he even turned to locate it. And it's just flying at him, and he just, boom, gets it in his hands. Football is better when DeAndre Hopkins is playing. because this is just fun. It's just fun to watch the guy play. No really like explosive plays, but I'm 10 catches for 103 yards. I'll take that every day.
Yeah.
I'll take that every day. And I think it'll continue. And he's the lineup lock. You don't need to question this. We said it on Tuesday. He's back and he's ready to play because
if you drafted him, you have been heavily rewarded with his first game returning 100%. Back from the suspension. This is wonderful. Congratulations 100%. To you, Noah, because you actually made a trade for DeAndre Hopkins. And I drafted him in one league, but like you took a shot. You gave away some notable players at the time to get.
I gave away McCaffrey. I gave away.
Oh, it's part of the trade. That's right.
Yeah, the McCaffrey trade was that, and so I gave up McCaffrey and Ayuk, which is pretty hilarious now that it's like the guy I traded to them to has Deebo Samuel as well. So now he's got Deebo, CMC, and Brandon Ayuk all on the same team. I don't know. Listen, shout out to Hunter.
For gold.
Yeah, shout out to Hunter. I don't know what he's going to try and do with this team, but go for it. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth moving some of those guys around, but risky starts here, Wes. We both were a little apprehensive. We were both, I don't know, but we both felt pretty, we felt positive about these risky starts.
Yes. I also had to double check because by the half, after the Cardinals had back-to-back pick sixes, I wanted to just double check to make sure which side of the fence I was on when I was calling the Cardinals risky. And it was the good side. I said it was a good risk. And I'm so glad I did, because at the half I thought, oh man, this is going to be great. And then just garbage time kind of ruined the great work the Cardinals had done.
12 points from a defense. You're still excited about
that's
that.
Still good.
That's still really solid.
3 interceptions and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns.
Just
Did
remarkable.
You happen to check at the half what they were at?
No, I forgot to check.
They were
I should have checked
least,
to see.
I mean, if they start at 10, they are in the 20s, I feel like, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they were in the 20s because you get
we could do the math and figure out.
You get 2 points for the interception itself and then 6 points for the touchdown. So that's 16 points off of 2 plays for the Cardinals defense. But yeah, 12 points from a defense. Love it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, garbage time really ruined what could have been a huge lead for anyone that started them. But we already mentioned it before. Your risky start was Chris Olave, and man, he had the same night as DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, he looks great. Yeah, he looks awesome. 17.6 fantasy points. 14 targets. Listen, I know Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas weren't playing, but 14 targets. This has been consistent too. This has been with Andy Dalton and with Jameis Winston. Like, this dude is really good. They, Tony Gonzalez and Richard Sherman and Ryan Fitzpatrick were talking about it. And it's, I'm buying in. Like, I really do think it's between Chris Olave and Breece Hall right now for offensive rookie of the year. Like, these guys are awesome. These guys are really, really good. Really awesome to see. It was risky just because we saw this Cardinals secondary play really well against this Seahawks team just last week. Cardinals secondary still played really well, 2 pick sixes. Yeah. But Chris Olave got his, 14 targets. You're going to get there. Only caught half of them too. It could have been a much bigger night for the guy, but still a really, really great night for Chris Olave. If you were looking to roster him and plug him into the lineup for a bye week fill-in or something like that. Let's jump over to our don't starts though, Wes, because somehow this man that just drives me insane finds the end zone over and over again. I don't get it. It has to be the most efficient touchdown scorer on like the least amount of touches to start a season. It has to be. It's insane. Yeah.
And can I just share with our listeners is that Noah and I, as we mentioned, are playing each other in our fantasy league, and I had no other choice but to start Taysom Hill. I did not listen to Noah for my don't start because my other tight ends are Dawson Knox and Dallas Goedert, who are on bye weeks, and so I fired up Taysom Hill and he got a rushing touchdown.
10 points. Yeah, 10 points from he got it wasn't even a rushing touchdown. He caught a screen pass. He was lined up as a wideout.
Oh yeah, it was a screen pass. I thought it was a rush. Nice.
You have Chris Olave on your team. You have Alvin Kamara on your team. You are 3 yards from the goal line. You know what? Let's send it to good old Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Oh, and talk about his throw too.
Ridiculous.
Chris Olave. So good, man. I love it.
10.12 fantasy points in your tight end spot in a position that has been just a wasteland this year. That is a more than serviceable outcome for your tight end spot. Wes, I mentioned a little bit before, and I don't know that either of us have an answer here. But when you have stats in 3 different categories of a football game, rushing, passing, and receiving, and the least amount of work that you do is in the receiving game, 1 target, 1 catch, 3 yards for the touchdown. Okay. Then 3 carries for 9 yards. Okay. And then 2 passes for 48 yards. At what point does the classification on the tight end position for him get dropped? What do we do here? I feel like I'm just carrying over from Tuesday's show. It's just, I don't understand. They did it last year after his first quarterback start. So I get it. Maybe he has to be listed. And I think if I'm remembering correctly from last year, I think there's a certain percentage of snaps that you have to play at a certain position to get your positional classification moved to something else. But the dude has 2 catches on the year and he's still listed as a tight end in fantasy. I don't get it. But you know what?
It's great.
If you didn't listen to me or you had to play somebody else, good for you guys, because 10 points. There you go. It just, there you go. There's a little bit of energy carrying over from last episode, Wes. Let's talk about Benjamin.
Yeah, this was a swing and a miss. I don't know what happened. I looked at the Seahawks game. I was not impressed in any way when I saw Benjamin, and I thought, well, I mean, we got an idea of what the backup is to James Conner. I don't have any interest in starting him. And then I didn't even see it happen. I didn't even see it really happen. He had a fantastic 45-yard carry, and I thought, okay, that'll help people. And then he got the touchdown, and I thought, okay, great. So he ended up with double digits. And then I looked, and it was like, where the hell did 20 points come from? 92 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
It was just
on 12
insane.
carries. Like you said, he had the big one, but man, he still did really well.
Yeah. It's incredible. I have nothing to say other than I'm impressed and well done, Benjamin. And we'll see how the snap count is divided once James Conner is back, because we'll jump into the other players too, because then, they see the other guy, Keontae Ingram. Yeah. I hadn't heard of him until last night, but here he is with 9 carries. Really had 14 yards. He did get a touchdown too. So we ended up with 11 points on fantasy. No one's going to pick him up, but I just think 9 carries for what would be their 3rd string running back. This is going to be very fascinating when James Conner returns to the lineup when he's healed.
Yeah. As a James Conner owner, my hope is, okay, this usage, James Conner's only seen 5 targets in 1 game this season. It was week 1. It was his best game of the season. My hope when he comes back is that, okay, this usage carries over to him. They still know him as a better back, but they really do like, Benjamin. The coaching staff really loves him. He's an Arizona State kid. He played his college football days at Arizona State. He's from the area. They really like this guy. And so I think he sees an uptick in usage, but I'm maybe giving James Conner a little bit of a break. James Conner had a huge season last year when Chase Edmonds was playing a decent amount of snaps as well. Maybe that unlocks James Conner a little bit. I really hope it does. I'm a James Conner owner, and I haven't even thought about starting him in 3 weeks. So it's just, it's a frustrating situation with James Conner. It's great to see Cardinals running backs doing well, and I hope that continues whenever James Conner comes back to the lineup. We're just gonna have to wait and see though, because I'm not sure.
It probably will now that D-Hop is back. Just the efficiency that they have in the passing game, even with 1 receiver. And we'll see how Rob Anderson does with a full week as well. He had 1 target, and that was it. And it was a long shot. So, they already know what his skill set is. But I think, if the passing game opens up the way that it did with DeAndre Hopkins, I think then you have a better ground game. And then when you have a really good breather back, like Benjamin, someone to fill in for the starter, or someone to do a split backfield. Benjamin, I think, can help with James Conner. So this is our optimism. I like this. An optimism for James Conner when he returns, that this isn't a waste of a second or third round draft pick in your leagues. It probably should be okay going forward. I hope.
I hope so. Last few guys here. Zach Ertz had a bit of an outlier week. I hope for Zach Ertz owners. Listen, actually, let's go back to episode 1, Wes. Okay. Well, I don't know. When do we talk about tight ends? I don't know when we talked about tight ends, the toitest ends in the league. But
I'm in 2. Episode
when
2,
I gave my top 10 list, Zach Ertz was, I think, 8th or 9th for me. But I did say, I think Zach Ertz is going to be able to dink and dunk his way to a top 3 tight end production over the first 6 weeks of the season before DeAndre Hopkins comes back. And then DeAndre Hopkins came back. And Zach Ertz came into this game as tight end 3. And then Zach Ertz had 6.1 fantasy points tonight, just 4 targets. 2 catches for 21 yards. He did pull in the 2-point conversion, but it feels pretty cool calling that one out pretty solidly. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's a pretty good, really accurate prediction. Well done on that.
I think the hope here is that for Zach Ertz owners is that it evens out a little bit. I will say, there were like 6 touchdowns scored in this game. I don't think a single one of them went to a starting player. I know, Benjamin was a starting running back tonight because James Conner wasn't playing, but he's usually I think he's behind Darrell Williams on the depth chart. Yeah, I don't think someone over the 3rd string at their position scored a touchdown tonight. Like it was on Thursday night. It's just kind of ridiculous. It was like, man, so many points scored by no one who was in fantasy lineups. Maybe, Benjamin ended up in there in somebody's lineup on a bye week, but it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it was that helps no one kind of week. I mean, Juwan Johnson walked away with 20 points because he had 5 catches.
Right.
2 of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 of them were touchdowns. Yeah. It was just insane. I will say I've got one last thing here on this game. I've got a little bit of regret here because I was looking at things today, and I sadly am a Russell Wilson owner in one league that I play in this season. Because it's Russell Wilson in the 11th round. What a steal, man. Come on. Oh, my goodness. But I was looking at it, and with his injury, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know who I play tonight, or who I play like this week. There wasn't really, it's a 12-man league. Some people roster 2 quarterbacks. There's someone in that league who rosters Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen on the same team. I'm losing my mind here, guys. But I was considering Andy Dalton because maybe Dalton just goes off on Thursday Night Football. And my goodness, he did. For 26.5 fantasy points, I'll say this. He threw 3 picks. Jameis Winston could have played tonight. If Jameis Winston could have came in the second half. He didn't. I think Dennis Allen thinks he has a better chance at winning football games with Andy Dalton on our center. So I'm not sure if that job gets handed back to Winston or not. I believe Winston's contract is just for 1 year. I don't know, but stung a little bit because that 26.54 could have actually turned into like 41.54 because in this league, and even probably 43.54, 44.54, something like that. In this league that I play in, we actually get a half. We're in this league together, Wes. We get a half point per quarterback completion. So 30 completions would have been an extra 15 points onto there. Anyway, one thing that I'm like, I should have done it. I was considering it, but that's all good. That is all good.
Taysom Hill scored a touchdown on you just to make the night even worse.
Just dunked on my face. It's all good.
Pretty sweet.
Anyway, that was a great Thursday night game. Probably going to be the best one we see all year. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's do we looked up the scores. We decided to look at the last 3. No, you wrote it down, right? You've got it in front of you?
So the last 3 weeks of Thursday Night Football games, there were a total combined of 81 points scored between 3 games.
3 full games.
3 full games. That was Bengals Dolphins. That was Broncos Colts, and that was Commanders Bears. 81 points scored between those 3 games. There were 76 points scored on Thursday night football in week 7.
Woo!
And that's going to be the best we get all year. I'm sure of it. Except maybe next week, Bucks Ravens on Thursday night should again, a lot of the other games should have been good, but should be a decent matchup. And I'm excited about it because I'm still a Tom Brady believer and owner. And I don't know if you saw that clip on Thursday of him in the press conference, but he said no retirement anytime soon. So I'm truly convinced this man's going to play till he's 50. But
it's week 7.
Yeah. Anyway,
Jeez.
all that being said, Wes, let's jump into our start bench cut segment. We're going to look at this from a bit of a, potentially just week 7, but also in a broader spectrum as well here. Wes, you've got some quarterbacks for me. Who do I have to start bench cut?
Yeah, I wanted to look at some of these are all top 5 QBs, give or take, based on your league point system. These are all very similar running backs. I would like you to decide, Noah. I'm going to say for this season, and I will let you know if you want to do week 7, go for that as well. You actually know you can't because one of them's on a bye. So for the season,
okay,
Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, or Kyler Murray. Start, bench, cut.
I'm gonna start Jalen Hurts because why can't you? Like, why wouldn't you?
Wow. Okay.
This Eagles team is so good. And I want everyone I wish I drafted the whole Philadelphia Eagles offense, really, for a fantasy team because they're so good. I'm gonna start. Yeah, so I'm going to start Jalen Hurts. I'm going to bench Lamar, and I'm going to cut Kyler. Really, just because I think you could. For me, it's a start and bench here. You could decide between Lamar and Hurts, I think. But for me, I'm going to say start Hurts, bench Lamar, cut Kyler. Kyler is, the Cardinals still figuring it out. Great Thursday night football game, but they're still figuring it out and still getting things rolling there. And so, at 3-4, they may have a chance to lead the division by the end of this week. So, I would go start Hurts, bench Lamar, cut Kyler.
I agree about Kyler. I think of those 3, I would like to have him the least. I'd rather have Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. The only thing that I think about Lamar Jackson is that he has, not in my eyes, but just from the last previous 6 weeks, he has a better upside just because the offense runs through him. But you make a fantastic point. It's almost as if you get better consistency with Jalen Hurts because they have better receivers there in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Better tight end, obviously. And they have multiple running backs that are succeeding, even though Miles Sanders hasn't been that great the last few games.
Right.
Jalen Hurts has a better consistency and a much higher floor, but Lamar Jackson, it's the Baltimore Lamars, essentially.
Yeah, the Baltimore Lamars. Yeah. Had you asked me this, had this question been asked me 2 weeks ago before the Eagles took on the Cardinals in Phoenix and Arizona, I probably would have said Lamar. But in that Eagles Cardinals game, the Battle of the Birds, when they ran 3 straight QB sneaks on the goal line because they were like, Sirianni was like, of course, why not? It's Jalen Hurts. 3 straight QB sneaks on the goal line was just like, I was like, wow, he is just like, his floor is unbelievable. And when he has a good passing game, the ceiling is absurd. Like, this is just insane. And so I was a Jalen Hurts owner last year. The floor was incredible. I wish I would have not been so. I don't want him again. I had him last year because, man, that would have been awesome. But I think we're both pretty much in the same spot there. I think 1 and 2 are interchangeable, but I would go with Hurts to start there.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray didn't throw a touchdown or run for a touchdown last night, so
he threw one. He
did throw one. I'm sorry, he did throw one.
Come on, Wes, the big name touchdown to Greg Dortch. Remember? God.
No, I honestly forgot.
Here, I know.
I honestly forgot.
Everyone would. I'm going insane here. This is ridiculous.
Anyway, all right. I like your answer. Good reason. Tell me which running backs I have to start, bench, and cut.
Yeah. I had in mind more for immediate this week, but I think my answer remains the same for the season. I think.
But you want me to do week 7?
I'm going to do week 7 because I've got matchups written down here and all this sort of stuff. I'm going to have you start bench cut Wes. Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, and Aaron Jones. Now, Josh Jacobs takes on the Houston Texans, Breece Hall takes on the Denver Broncos, and Aaron Jones takes on the Washington Commanders. Start bench cut Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, and Aaron Jones, Wes.
I am going to start Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
And bench Breece Hall.
Okay.
And then cut Aaron Jones.
Man.
I think coming off a bye week, the Raiders are going to have to get it right. Yeah. And the way that Josh Jacobs played the last time we saw him in week 5 under the lights was fantastic. And we both were admitting this guy is it. He's the real deal. This is a locked in starting running back when he's back. Breece Hall has been playing great. Breece Hall has been playing fantastic, but I'm going to mimic your answer about the Eagles and use that for the difference between the Jets offense in total and the Raiders offense in total. It's that there is much more offensive firepower for the Las Vegas Raiders than there is for the New York Jets. So just the quarterback alone, Derek Carr, I think, is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. So that, to me, I think there's a better floor and a better shot for Josh Jacobs to continue to do really well. Breece Hall is great, but truth is, Aaron Jones has not been great outside of week 2. And, even for this week, the Commanders have a better defense than I think we give credit for. We think the Bears are just a bad team, but the Commanders did their job and they held them down, and they've been doing all right for a while. I mean, I guess the Eagles weren't that great, of a storyline for them, but I think that's my answer. Is Josh Jacobs is my starter, then Breece Hall, and then I'm going to cut Aaron Jones for this week.
Man, I love doing a podcast with you.
Yeah.
I'm in the exact same boat.
Oh, yeah,
same boat there. Start Josh Jacobs. The Texans are allowing the most fantasy points to running backs this season, and Josh Jacobs, if you said this last year, you would have maybe been surprised, but he's a top 5 play this week in my eyes, no doubt about it. Yeah. I'm going to bench Breece Hall. The PPR upside is unbelievable, and really just the player's upside. He looks really, really good. Last week we saw that even when the entire Jets offense plays poorly, Breece Hall still shines in fantasy. Like it's still him, and he is still there. He pretty much carried that offense last week. I wouldn't play him over Jacobs just because of the matchup, I feel like, too, as well. And I just favor Jacobs a little bit more. But Breece Hall going against the Broncos, a little bit of a downtick there for me. But he's still higher here than Aaron Jones, just because it's so painful to say, but the Packers offense looks lost. Like it just doesn't. I don't know what's happening. So in the grouping of these 3 guys, I think you just maybe by default, but also just I love Aaron Jones as a player, but this offense looks lost, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm with you. I'm gonna start Josh Jacobs, bench Breece Hall, and cut Aaron Jones.
Yeah, and just one more thing about Aaron Jones is, again, he's just not even getting the carries.
Yeah,
he's just not getting opportunities, not getting the carries, not getting the targets. Yeah. They're not. He's not involved. I don't know when that'll change, but until then, obviously start Aaron Jones. Okay, but we're also very worried about how he will continue to play. So
yeah. Wes, give me some wide receivers.
Yeah. So again, I didn't mean to do this, but I have another wide receiver that's on a bye week from my list here. So again, This is going to be a season-long decision. I think this is fantastic, especially with the news that we just had. So, are you going to try to guess which receiver?
No, that was just me in my mind, already stressed out because I'm going to have to decide on something here that I think I already know.
Well, here we go. So your choices to start, bench, and cut are from Juju Smith-Schuster, Allen Robinson, and Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, man. for the
wow.
season. This is oh wow. This
man
sucks.
While you think about it, I just want to preface a little bit for our listeners. Again, Juju finally had his breakout game. Long touchdown, bounced off 3 defenders, looking like he had a second touchdown that they ruled was short. Allen Robinson finally had a breakout game, and he had a fantastic touchdown. We even saw in SoFi that he was wide open, and he's a good route runner again. And then Brandon Ayuk had a breakout game, 2 touchdowns last week, and now he has Christian McCaffrey in his backfield. I think take your time because I'm going to second guess myself until you give a final answer.
No, this is tough. This is really, really tough. I think I'm going to start.
I have an answer. I have my answer.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Hang on. Ayuk, A-Rob,
Juju.
Okay.
On that beat.
Okay. Oh man. Wow. This is really hard. Okay. I think I start Juju. I think I start Juju. I bench Brandon Ayuk, and I think I cut A-Rob, but I don't know. This is tough. This is a tough one. I think I start Juju. I bench Ayuk, and I cut A-Rob.
Okay. Walk me through. Oh, I just hit my laptop here. Walk me through your reason to start Juju.
Yeah, I just think it's best quarterback on the list. I don't know. The highest upside, best offense on the list, best quarterback on the list. I know it was just one game, and I came into the season a big Juju believer. It was scary how much I really liked him for the season. I need to see more. I'm not bought in fully that Juju is now this 20 points a game guy. But when Mahomes is your quarterback, and maybe they finally got some chemistry there, they got some stuff rolling, and Mahomes feels a little better targeting him. Yeah, I think behind Kelsey, I think he's probably the highest receiving upside on the team. So that's Juju for me. With Ayuk, I think just based off what we said when we were talking about in the news, I think secondaries open up a little bit. I think secondaries open up a little bit for the 49ers. I think everyone gets an uptick in this 49ers offense now that McCaffrey's there. And with A-Rob, it might just be because I've been burned, but I loved seeing him do well on Sunday. But when it comes down to all these guys that breakout games, I think he's the least of the 3 that I think he can repeat that at least another 4 or 5 times this season. And so I think that's just why I cut A-Rob. Yeah, that was that's a fantastic start bench cut, West.
Thank you. I don't think there is it's a tough one too, because I'll just tell you, it's changed. My answer has changed now with Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Because I think for me, I am willing to start Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I think this is what we talked about last episode, is that Brandon Ayuk was supposed to be the best pure wide receiver, just, comparing to Deebo Samuel in that Niners wide receiver room. So to see what he finally did, that to me excites me. I'm glad. I'm thankful. He's done all right. He's not really worth starting from the season. He's only gotten double digits twice of the past, before Sunday. But I really think that you take that momentum and then you bring in probably the best running back in the NFL. It just opens up the offense in an exponential way. So for me, it has now changed because of this, that Brandon Ayuk is my starter. I actually would like to have Allen Robinson on my bench.
Okay.
Just because I agree. Yes, there is a better potential, it feels, with Kansas City, but I don't think I have to guess as much with the Rams, where if this is for real, if what you and I saw with our own eyes with Allen Robinson, I think there is something that a shift will turn for them, and Cooper Kupp won't be affected in any way, but Stafford is going to start giving it that way. And then Juju is just like, it's him or it's MVS or it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 6 touchdowns in a row. Or
Mecole Hardman,
or
Noah Gray, or
Isaiah Pacheco,
or Jerick McKinnon, or that you've made a very good point there, literally, in just talking about this right now. And I'm not losing my ground here, but you make a very good point. And so I think I'd still, that's tough. I don't know.
Let us know. Hey, listeners,
let us know.
We can't make a decision. We can't come to a concrete final answer. Let us know. Start, bench, cut. Brandon Ayuk, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, because this is a real toughie. I think some of us may have at least one of them, if not 2, based on our draft picks.
Yeah.
Oof.
Wow.
Sorry to give you an aneurysm there.
Yeah, I burst a brain cell during that. That was a little crazy.
Fun.
Woo!
What this podcast's about.
Yeah, that's it, baby. Let's get Toit. Is that cool?
Okay, let's get Toit.
Here's some Toit ends, Wes. Again, I was more leaning this week specific, but also I think I'd still lean this way rest of the season. I think you probably would have the same answer, but I want to hear about it. Start, bench, cut, Wes. Pat Freiermuth, Robert Tonyan, and Kyle Pitts.
Oh, him again.
Yeah, it's fun to bring him up, right?
Yeah, it's so fun.
So now we have to think about it more, right?
Thank you for doing that. No, look, I am going to start Tonyan.
Okay.
I just said here's my waiver wire ad, so I'm gonna be consistent with that too. But I'm gonna start Tonyan because I think the same reasons I said for waiver wire is that Rodgers is gonna need someone to trust. Tonyan has been trustworthy target for a while, and he has really increased in targets over the last week or so, has had some touchdowns. I like what I'm seeing with him. I'm going to bench Freiermuth because I think he is coming off an injury, but I also don't know exactly how the relationship between him and Kenny Pickett will look if Tomlin is going to interchange the quarterback carousel again. Maybe Mason Rudolph will see the field at some point. I don't even know. It's a random, wild, rotating field there, and Najee isn't getting any better, so it doesn't even matter. But I still like Freiermuth as a tight end. I still think he is very good. I think he is worth having in anyone's roster. And then Kyle Pitts is annoying.
Yeah.
And a disappointment. So I'm just going to continue to say, I said it, I think of, like week 2 or something, but I'll say it again. Kyle Pitts will be on my bench when he has his first good game of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. I love you, Wes. Okay.
Love you too.
My cut is also Kyle Pitts.
Good.
I wrote a few sentences on Tonyan and Freiermuth. All I wrote for Kyle Pitts was, "You give me a headache. Bye-bye now."
Yeah.
That was it. That was all. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, very good point.
Scored a touchdown is worth bringing up in conversation again, but no, I'm done. I'm done with Kyle Pitts.
I'm annoyed.
I'm going to start Freiermuth. Freiermuth, he's dealing with the concussion missed last week, but I expect him to have a really solid week against the Dolphins, actually. Miami's allowing the 10th most fantasy points to tight ends. And in Pickett's first game action, Freiermuth saw 9 targets. Again, Trubisky played the first half of that game, but I believe when I ran the numbers on it, and Freiermuth had only 2 targets with Trubisky in the first half, 7 targets with Pickett in that game against, who was the first game against? I can't remember who they were playing against. The Jets. Maybe it was
Steelers?
I'm not sure.
Who the Steelers are playing? They play the Bengals week 1.
No. Who? So I'm talking about Kenny Pickett's first game action when he came in at halftime. I think it was the Jets, but I could be wrong.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Steelers week 1.
I'm not entirely sure, but he saw 7 targets with Pickett in the first half of the first game he was playing him against. It was the Jets because everyone said, "Oh, the Jets," and then they've got the Bills and then the Bucks. So it was like, oh, this is not going to be good. But I expect Kenny Pickett to be playing on Sunday night. He's practicing in full. They're planning on him playing, is what it's sounding like. And he just does have to clear the concussion protocol. but I expect similar workloads for him on Sunday night. And I like Freiermuth. I do. And this is going to take on Tonyan because I'm going to bench Tonyan here, but Tonyan had a great game last week. But that game last week was his career high in targets, receptions, and he was just 8 yards shy of tying his career high in receiving yards in a single game.
Oh, yeah.
So that was very, very, very close to what is his best game of his career last week. Didn't even score a touchdown, still had 19 fantasy points. Awesome week. And I think because Randall Cobb got hurt, I actually do think Tonyan can be a PPR like machine until maybe Cobb comes back, maybe for the rest of the season. So I really do like Tonyan. Wes, I took your advice and I made Robert Tonyan a waiver ad for me this past week. So now, I mean, I'm still my firm Dalton Schultz believer, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But I do have Robert Tonyan on the bench because I do see how this could play out. I just need to see one more week from Tonyan like this where he gets this kind of target share. But if he gets that target share, it's going to be serious conversation for me in my, inner conversation deciding between Tonyan and Dalton Schultz for my starting lineup there. But yeah, and then Kyle Pitts, bye. Good to see you later.
Bye. Yeah. Headache, bye. Yeah, I like your answer. I think we both have our own probably bias. You've been a big Freiermuth fan for a while. I like Aaron Rodgers, so I pay more attention to his receivers and his pass catchers. So I think I'm just more inclined to side with Tonyan. But I think both are worth having in your lineup, and especially if you have them both. Imagine having both of them in your roster, and you get to decide week to week. I think that would be a pretty good problem to have. But yeah, I think Freiermuth. I think we're both on the same page. Actually, let me see it again.
Yeah,
both these. Let me see it again.
Let's see it again, and then it'll be a great thing. Beautiful thing, Wes. Let's close out this beautiful Friday Week 7 show with some studs and dudes. Studleys and Dudleys, some studs and duds. Wes, who is your stud for Week 7?
My stud is going to be Jalen Waddle.
Oh yeah,
we talked about it after Jets game, maybe. I think maybe the Jets game. We were saying, hey, listen, go make a move, go get Jalen Waddle because it's he looks like a boomer bust, but he's not.
Yeah,
he is quarterback dependent. And that quarterback is named Tua Tagovailoa, and Tua Tagovailoa is returning. And just some quick data on the difference in Jalen Waddle's performance this year. With Tua, he has averaged 10 targets per game. He averages 114 yards per game. And he has averaged 1 touchdown per game. Without Tua, 6 targets per game, 63 yards and 0 touchdowns.
Oh,
them's the maths, baby.
Them's the maths.
Tua's back Sunday night. And, I think Tyreek Hill will also play great. I think Tua is worth starting for this return as well. But I think for those of you that have struggled week 4 and 5 with those single-digit performances, I mean, Jalen had a great game on Sunday against the Vikings. He fumbled, which could have been 2 more points for you. But I think, this is going to be a hell of a game for the Penguin. And this is how sure I am. Noah has Jalen Waddle.
I was just about to say it. I said,
I still am like, there's no way this guy's going to have over 20 points. There's no question.
Yeah. What's his projection? It's around 15 or something like that, right?
It's a 15 point something. I should double check again. I wrote 15 down. I didn't get the actual number.
Yeah. So yeah, I love this. Obviously I'm a Jalen Waddle owner. Wes and I go up against each other. It is going to be a sweaty Sunday night football game because our last guys that we each have in our lineups, Wes, is I have Jalen Waddle, you have Tua and Tyreek, and it's going to be like, oh man, what are we doing here? And to be completely honest, I hope we both just go crazy because it would be awesome to watch the Dolphins do that on Sunday night. But I love it. Obviously,
15.2 from Jalen Waddle. I still think he's going to soar past that. And it's just going to be a sigh of relief for those of you that have held on to Waddle after a slow few weeks without Tua.
Yeah, I love it. I'm very, very excited about it. I can't wait for Sunday night. I'm going to have my sweat rags around. It's going to be a fun time.
Oh, awesome. Sweat rags? Yeah, those,
I'll ship you one if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, don't wash it because I don't want to ruin the bad, the good luck.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, let me hear your stud for
100%.
for week 7.
My stud for week 7, I talked about him just a little bit earlier. I teased at it. It's Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, it could be wishful thinking. It could be. But let's all breathe a big sigh of relief. Because Dak Prescott is back.
All right.
Dalton Schultz finally has a quarterback back under center that actually looks at their tight ends during a football game. It's awesome. In one partial game with Dak in week 1, Dalton Schultz had 9 targets, bringing in 7 receptions for 62 yards. It's good for 13.2 fantasy points in week 1. In 3 games that Dalton Schultz has played since then, he's been having a knee issue, but he's played in those 3 games with Cooper Rush. He has 8 targets total over those 3 games. Look for Dak to target Schultz heavily on Sunday against the Lions defense, allowing the 8th most fantasy points to tight ends. I'm ready for the fantasy production of Dalton Schultz to skyrocket, and I'm locking him in this week. He's projected 8.5 points. He is going way past that, I promise you. Way, maybe 15, maybe he goes to the 20-point mark, but he's going beyond 8.5 points. He's my stud this week. If you were holding out on him and you're worried because he gave you 2 goose eggs, don't. He's back with a quarterback who likes him and who likes throwing him the ball. It's going to be an awesome week for Dalton Schultz. Don't be worried about the injury. He's been having a knee injury that he's been aggravated with. He was a full participant in practice on Thursday. He's good to go. So is Dak. This is going to be awesome. I'm ready for this Cowboys offense to regain some power against this really bad Detroit Lions defense. I am excited for it.
This is the second time Dalton Schultz has been a stud for this season.
Oh yeah.
I think I said in week 2 and then he got hurt. So
yeah.
I don't think it is wishful thinking because you gave the data. You showed that Dak Prescott has targeted him in 3 quarters more than Cooper Rush did combined. So we have the same reason for our studs, which I think is actually very funny, is our quarterback is returning. Our studs.
Return to the quarterbacks for the studs.
We're loving it. Yeah, I'm very happy. I also have been looking forward to seeing Dalton Schultz kind of get into this top 10 tight end performance that we both were expecting. And just with some injuries and an injured quarterback too, it's been not the start we want. And I think we're good to go. I think he could even be a lock in for tight end if depending on how this week 7 goes.
Yeah, definitely could be. I tell you what, Wes, we were watching that Sunday night football game, Cowboys versus Eagles together, and the surprise inactive came through. We talked about it on Tuesday, but I tell you what, I wanted to rip Cooper Rush's head off watching that game because he doesn't throw to the tight ends at all in like 3, 4 games, 5 games, whatever he was playing for the Cowboys. The one game, it's like, surprise, Dalton Schultz inactive. It's like, oh no, what are we doing? And some rookie tight end goes for like 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. And I was like, yeah, naturally, of course. Yeah. This is happening now.
You have a fantasy football podcast. Of course, that's the decision you make.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was nice. Anyways, that was a disappointment there, but I'm glad to have Dalton Schultz back. Let's talk about some guys that are going to let us down here. Some duds for week 7 as we close out the show. Wes, who's your dud for week 7?
Courtland Sutton.
That's a my guy, Wes.
It's a my guy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And it's hard. I mean, I feel like I'm getting emotional talking about it. No, it's not just because of last week where he put up hardly any points at all.
Yeah.
It is. I have stopped holding my breath in this Broncos offense to turn around. And I liked having Courtland Sutton for all this time up until last week. He was averaging 9 targets a game, and he never had a single-digit game up until this Chargers performance. And I am worried for the future of all Broncos players. I'm not going to make any definitive statements about it, but I just think that particularly for this week, they're playing the Jets. And say what you will about if the Jets are for real or not. I can tell you their secondary has something to say about it, because right now, Sauce Gardner has a 54.5 QB rating against him and has a 41.9 completion percentage against him. And he has only allowed one touchdown all season. On the other side,
he's so good.
He is good. He is really good.
Yeah.
On the other side, the other cornerback, DJ Reed, has a 42.1 QB rating against him this season and a 45 completion rate without allowing any touchdowns.
Yeah.
And right now, Russell Wilson, do you want to guess? I would like to hear your guess. What do you think Russell Wilson's QB rating is?
I don't want to.
You want to guess? I'll tell you. It's 35.
4. Oh, God.
He has a
35.8
quarterback rating on the entire season. And he has a 58 completion percentage.
Wow.
This is not going to be a good matchup for, I think, Jerry Jeudy as well, but I think Courtland Sutton, who has been much more consistent, has had a much more relieving stat line for Broncos offensive players. And this is just not going to be good. Russ has 5 touchdowns on the season, by the way. Combined, these two cornerbacks have allowed 1. It's just going to be disappointment. Courtland Sutton's projected 11.3. I think is another single-digit game for him.
I'm sad.
Yeah, it is sad. I love this guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I ended up trading him away the week before this Chargers game, so I didn't. Yeah. I don't have to personally make this decision anymore. But I think we can just admit this Broncos ship is not going to turn around. This Broncos country, let's ride, was on a bucking Bronco that threw all the fans off into a pit of despair.
Yeah, it was on the Titanic.
Yeah, and it's over.
Yeah.
So it's over.
It's disappointing. I still think, wildly enough, Courtland Sutton is still going to be the best fantasy player on this Broncos offense.
For sure.
But I agree with you. This is just so disappointing. Who knows? Maybe Greg Dulcich gives him a run for his money, but this is disappointing. I'm very sad to be talking about the Denver Broncos like this.
Yeah.
We all are. It's the sad truth.
Okay. Speaking of sad truths, who's the dud of the week, Noah?
Oh, yeah, it's Damian Harris, running back for the New England Patriots, going up against the Chicago Bears on Monday night. Projected 11.6 fantasy points. He's coming back from essentially what was a 2-game absence. He got hurt in the game against the Lions, I believe is who that was. Game against the Lions, and I'm not expecting the outlook to be too fantasy friendly. And it's not really matchups or anything. It's just that Ramondre Stevenson has completely taken over this backfield, and I don't think he's going to give it back. I expect the Patriots to be leading for this entire game. So there's a chance that Damian Harris might fall into the end zone, but I still don't think he meets the expectations this week. In his first week back from injury, I think they'd probably ease him in, maybe give him a little bit of a snap count. And again, Ramondre has just been that dude. And so I expect Ramondre to have a really awesome week. Damian Harris is going to be a dud for week 7. And I don't think there's too much anybody can do about it. I just think, I think Bill Belichick might have found a new favorite player in Ramondre Stevenson, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's, as we've been saying, it's Ramondre Stevenson's backfield. He's the better back. And I don't know how many more times Damian Harris will get double-digit points. It's, he's the second back now. He's the RB2. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really somber note to end the episode on. It was a great episode, and then we're just like, oh, this is really disappointing. Oh man, that is going to be all the time we have for this episode. Oh, man. Wherever you're listening, we'd appreciate it if you give the episode 5 stars and write something funny in the review so we can give you a shout out next time. We're on social media everywhere at 4th and Troll, and on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. Look for our mascot, Tidy the Troll, and make him smile by giving us a follow and joining us next time, every Tuesday and Friday. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.